I love that thing's voice. It's so funny.
Oh, now recording. Yeah.
Yeah, and it says it so cool.
I found a perfect cringy ass way to start these things. Instead of being like, "Oh, welcome, to Hel Talk" or whatever, I'll just ask you guys, what the hell do you want to talk about? And I just thought that was the perfect level of cringe for this type of conversations. But
yeah, that like it kind of got old because I'm like, man, is this guy gonna keep saying the same stuff every single time? Like, oh, so this is just where we talk about regular stuff, this and that, X, Y,
every
and
single
Z.
time. We only did it one fucking time beforehand. I mean, well, one time that we posted on YouTube, but
no, it was more, but
it was three times. But the first two,
Okay, well,
were
each
deleted.
time it was just it got fucked up.
It was twice with you guys because one time was was with Rick and Chef. So
that doesn't even have
like,
sound.
it was every time. It was like 2 times, my guy.
Oh my god. Well, it's like the same thing right now. It's like, I know that so I'm not trying to change the subject because I think we already said it's cringe, right, to say the same thing over and over. But like this Saturday being the states for Silver Age, right, and the amount of like, I think what I'm really liking is it's the they're addressing the problem figures immediately and not waiting until the end of the year to address stuff. Like immediately, okay, we need to address this because this is becoming a problem. I'm glad the mission points are out because I think mission point when they switch to like, oh, now you're getting effectively victory points, right? I didn't like that. I'm like, because you could sit in the corner and pull Maverick and just like, all right, I'm just gonna gain these points without doing nothing.
I love the pull a Maverick part.
Yeah, it was
But
classic Maverick sitting in the back.
That was all I did. Molecule Man, Jim Jaspers, man, eat my 11 barrier.
And then Maverick would get mad when you found a way to beat that. He's like, oh, you got it, bro. Like we didn't even roll dice.
I wouldn't get mad that you beat it. It was I'd get mad because I was playing you. No, I'd just get mad because I'm playing you, Miguel.
See, you guys get mad playing against me for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, man.
I'm all smiles and happiness when I lose to like Rick, but like when I play against you, it's all just like sadness. Miguel, it's all sadness.
Oh, but see, I don't understand that because the last event that Matt ran, you beat me. So what was the issue?
It's still sadness. It's because I have to play against you.
Like you won. I don't understand. Like I made misplays.
I made misplays. I didn't swap my Batmans that one turn. That I thought.
Bro,
I thought that cost me the
like,
game. Actually,
if you didn't like I said, if you didn't roll any dice, I would have said you could take it back. But you rolled the dice, and I'm like, bro.
No, I 100% understand why you said why.
Like,
I wasn't.
Because I wasn't like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but it's like, bro, you just rolled the dice. I'm like, and I told you literally, just take your time, figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna complain about the fact that I rolled dice. Like that after rolling dice, I think that nothing should be taken back. After dice are rolled, but
I will say this: Major Brock's bunker, man, that map is oppressive, dude. Like, I'm not even like playing on that map like back to back. I'm like, this thing just it sucks.
The thing is like alphas, like your team is built to alpha, but on that map, it's just like that alpha goes out the window, and you have to think about a new, completely different route because you're playing against a different team on that map every time, and it's just like they could hide easily on that map and expect like playing.
Well, yeah.
Last event there was no traffic there. And traffic burn makes that map way worse.
Because like I think what's really oppressive, right, on top of the terrain markers, right, or even barrier markers or whatever. It's the you have a wall, right? So there was a situation, right? Like remember, like again too, right, where I walked through the wall, right, like over elevation, blown up that wall, right. So if I instead of doing what I was going to originally do was to like cover my guys, why don't I just power action bury the wall and just say, okay, now you can't you can't break this wall. It's a different elevation and it's blocking. I was like, that would make more sense.
I will agree. If you did that, I don't know. I think there was still a way to get there. It was just not like good. Like I wouldn't be able to get green torch over. Like I'd get one attack, and if you did do that, it probably would have been at least 10 minutes to figure out how to do it. You know what I mean?
Because at that point, yeah, because what in that situation for me, right? If I did it that way, and I thought about it, right? You can't necessarily. There's no physically way you could get me because you'd have to walk where I was my starting area, right? Walk all the way over there, walk down the elevation, and then you might be able to get one of my figures. And I think the closest figure to that entrance was Darkseid.
And I can't kill a Darkseid, and it would have been for it to be like clarified. The only characters that could have attacked was free range attack Batman, and I don't even know if both of them could have done it. I know one of them could do it. Like there's a way that I could have got over, got through the barrier, and one attack. But
when I took out the Green Lantern, what other figure that you have that has phasing teleport carry passenger 2?
Well, you blew up the walls. Perdegaton could do it. He moves through walls, and he could copy the Green Lantern TA because Green Torch was still alive.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
But besides Perdegaton, Green Torch could also have done it. I think there was a position where I could have moved full movement because of flying over the elevated.
Yeah.
That he could have done it.
So in that situation, it works in my favor because you just wasted an action to move Green Torch.
Oh yeah, no, it would have been a wasted turn.
Yeah, it was a waste of a turn.
You're definitely in the winning position if you did that, because I don't think you would have had an easier way to. You could have killed a Batman in one turn in that position because you could attack with Darkseid doing the instant 5, and you just need to do, I think, 2 more damage, right? Because Batman, yeah. So you'd have to play
right? Yeah. I think what I would have done, what I would have done in that situation, I don't think I would have moved Green Man at all. Green Man would have stayed in the same position he was in, and all he did was power action barrier. Yeah, that's why I made my mistake. Because I thought about it, I'm like, well, I should have just did it this way. Well, that's what you learn, man. You live and you learn.
I mean, that's HeroClix, right? Like, you're not gonna play every game perfect.
No, but learning something from the game, I mean, that's what you want to get anyway.
Yeah, because other people see it from a different angle, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. There's probably a situation too where you can always use barrier. Like if your plan is just to move Darkseid to blow stuff up, you might as well just use barrier first anyway. So that way Darkseid doesn't get really, I'll use the like in air quotes, doesn't get an action token for it, because he'll, when you walk through the barrier, then after resolutions you can take a token off of him.
Yeah, but see, the problem that I was running against, I think it happened in Maverick's game, right? I think it happened in your game, right? Yeah, it happened in Maverick's game. It was the hyper time. No, it was Braylon. That's where it happened. So I rolled a 1 and 2 with hyper time. And so, like, I was doing that power action barrier, and I'd roll a 1 or 2, and I'm like, oh, crap, I can't even walk in here.
Oh, so you couldn't blow up a barrier?
I couldn't. That's what I was like. I'm like, bro, I'm shielding you, and I can't even do anything.
I will say Modern Age Darkseid is not as oppressive as a Silver Age Darkseid because obviously he can't. The odds of you having your team to where you could barrier in front of your opponent is slim, so it just comes down to terrain markers, more or less so. I mean, there's ways to get the barrier across there, but on Major Rock Bunker, I don't think there is a way that you could get barrier across the map to blow up with Darkseid.
No, no, that's why you play Khazar, and I think that's what Dan was doing. I didn't see many of the life groups, but I'm assuming that's what he did. He moved Darkseid, but after he moved Khazar, doing whatever, power action barrier, because he's got 8 range. And then he's like, well, I don't know if there's a way. That's a good question. I don't know. Cause
How Dan was doing it is if Dan wasn't going up against Griever or anyone that plays Darkseid, if you're not going up against a Griever, all you do is your first turn they can't kill the Darkseid, so you just put Darkseid in their face. So your next turn, you zero ring, do your free barrier, then you naturally barrier, and then Scott Porter, or not Scott Porter, Khazar moves, and then you blow up all the barrier, because you can't kill the Darkseid, and that's why people have started to try to counter it with a mind control team, so that Darkseid just goes back to his side of the map, but it's not as strong as a Griever.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because we've already played this out, right? Where it's not as effective as you want it to be.
No, yeah, and your team had Griever on it, so like I wasn't gonna chuck Darkseid out there because I can't barrier the next turn.
I'm telling you, man, you like my team name for that, man? 9th place. That's what I'm shooting for. 9th place.
Hey, as long as there isn't 15 Darkseids, you got 9th place.
I mean, that's what I think people are gonna play anyway. Copy and paste. I mean, you can't really blame them.
I think it's gonna be a mix of Darkseid because Mission Point just got neutered, so anyone that looked at that team and like, I'm gonna play that, is now done. So I think
even
everyone's gonna.
Yeah, because even like Clea, who's that piece? Like Clea, Sorcerer Supreme or whatever.
Yeah, you have to be adjacent to attack.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't get hit like even before the watch list came out. Like I always thought that piece was oppressive, dude.
It was one of those situations where, like, that's the thing about Silver Age. It's so like the format's so massive and so wide open that there's so many broken combos that like if you were, let's say, like, okay, Miguel, you are the sole person in charge of making the ban list. There's gonna be stuff. Any single person or small group of people that make a ban list for that format, you're gonna look at something and go, oh, that seems okay, and then not realize that, oh, if you combine it with like these 5 other Silver Age things, then it makes an infinite combo or a 1-turn win combo, and that's kind of what happened with them. So,
well, and that's what I was saying. Like, that's what I like, that they addressed it immediately. They didn't wait until, all right, let's address it the following year. No, they addressed it immediately, which is a step in the right direction. I don't know who said it best, but Silver Age is not for me. If I was to tell a new player to play Silver Age, I don't think that's a format for a new player. Realistically, I think Modern Age is a better format for them. Because Silver Age, you have to have been like around for the like Superior Foes of Spider-Man and up, right? So again, like the trouble alerts, right? Because I didn't get any of the Batman animated series. Now I got to go get these chases, these trouble alerts, and I don't, like I said, that's my opinion, but I like it where you can still use some of the old stuff that like it wasn't a waste of money. So it's not like a slap in the face, but I just don't think
it's a great format for casual play because it just basically, for the most part, it pretty much says, do you own HeroClix? Then if the answer is yes, you probably can make a Silver Age team. So it's great for casual play. But then again, if you're just gonna do casual play, just do Golden Age and just say whatever you got, just use it. So, but yeah, from a competitive standpoint, there's way too many effects for a new player to just start memorizing. Like there's just way too much stuff. And then on top of that, Silver Age is it's literally find the combo that breaks the game in such a way that your opponent doesn't get to play the game anymore. And new players either can't do that yet because they're new, or they don't want to do that, or that just pushes them out of the format. They're like, I don't even want to participate in that. It's like, because it's like, I want to play HeroClix and not go up against a team that just instantly tells me I can't play the game anymore because, there's just too many things to remember.
Yeah, no, that's a big factor. It's can you imagine, right? If they didn't switch the tarot cards requirement, right? Like you have to have someone with the tarot keyword. Can you imagine still playing with tarot cards in Silver Age?
You'd forget them.
You'd forget them. Like I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to flip my tarot card. Oh crap, I have this XYZ, but it's Silver Age is not. I think it's like I want to say you put it in good perspective. It's like a veteran format. Like if you've been playing the game, a long time or whatever, right? This is the format for you, right?
Yeah, and you see who wins. You look at who wins. It's players that have been good. Or it's players that are good now, and they were also good 10 years ago. That's who's winning.
Because I don't see anybody like you. I don't see anybody new winning. It's been the same players, and you'll see it all over Facebook, and it's like it sucks to say it like that, It's unfortunate. I mean, I like Silver Age because I get to use my old stuff, right? But it sucks that, unfortunately, for a new player, like it's not the format for them. Unfortunately, I think Modern Age is one of the best formats for a new player. I'm not even big on Pulp, dude, because Pulp is like, it's kind of like cookie cutter because you find what everybody else is playing, like whatever's best. Like for
Pulp
example,
is always
right?
just one team.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so look at Lucas Isaac, right? They were playing the exact same team, right? And they both were, in the finals. That's what I'm saying. You're gonna find whatever's best. It's either that or something like that. This might be all right.
And the one thing that I don't like about Silver Age, in the sense of competitiveness, is you're gonna buy the figures for one team, and that team might get banned, the next time. And then you are sitting on these figures that you had to spend a boatload on to use, and you might not even, by the time your states now has come around, you can't use it because, for example, someone that just bought all the mission point stuff for a mission point team, well, now you can't use it at your states because it's been banned. Same with the Clea. But the other thing is you buy it and it could get banned, but you also can't use it in any event besides Silver Age events, which there's not a lot. Lots of people are still doing just straight Modern Age. I haven't seen a lot of Silver Age get posted, besides this time because of states practice and everything. So you're just sitting on these pieces that you're never going to use because it's not the desired format to play.
Well, I think that's another reason why you see so many of these players that are playing in Silver Age States events like travel so far to play in multiple states events because they're like, this is it. This is the only time I could ever use this, use those pieces or use that team in a competitive environment for like the year. You know what I mean? Like until they do an ROC Cup or until they, I think Heroes for Huntington's did that as well. You know what I mean? But it's like that's it. You're not going to do competitive Silver Age again because and also because we already know. I mean, we just saw a instant, ban across a wave of problem characters, but we also know that once states wrap up this year, there's going to be another wave of, if not bans, there's going to be changes to the restricted list. There's going to be changes to just overall erratas as well. Like we already, it's very clear Darkseid's getting an errata, but I guess the argument for why. Right. Well, I don't think they're gonna have to.
Well, no one's using them. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're not gonna ban him because they specifically edited the format to use figures like him. But I think obviously they don't want to ban, the most popular character because I think their argument is he doesn't break the game in the sense that he wins with zero interaction, right? Like you do have to like kind of sort of like move adjacent to an opposing character in order to do what he does. So it's not great interaction, but you do have to do something. It's not like I said, like the mission point team was just I'm gonna sit in my starting area and then on turn 1 I win the game. You don't get a turn sometimes. You know what I mean? Like that's how good it was. So that's why they were like, "Oop, let's instantly get it out of here." Nope, we're not doing that anymore.
And same with the Donnie Blaze, because you were able to just create a figure that your opponent controls, and now, all right, well, I'm going to score that point, and Donnie Blaze does that. So that was understandable.
Well, the other thing too, like for Darkseid, right? Like Matt said, it's you could interact with the figure. It's not like you're in your starting area, and now this guy is going to do all this damage, and I can't do anything about no. Plus, I mean, and there is counters. I mean, realistically, right? Reaver, Cosmo. I mean, that's just two I can think of right now. But
I also think a great counter to him that it's not legal yet, but I think Legacy Odin is I know we talked about him before, but I think that's a great. I think that's just a great Silver Age piece. But yeah, just saying you have Earthbound neutralized, and you're gonna have it for the whole game, so you can't run through anything.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And you can't. Yeah, you can't run through anything, and you can't shoot through anything. Good luck. Your Darkseid doesn't do dick.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, Legacy Odin might actually.
And he actually does on top dial. He actually works on top dial because he would say that Darkseid's maximum attack is a 12, so it actually goes down, and then his maximum defense is a 19, so it actually goes down. So he's really good for Silver Age against Darkseid.
Why aren't people? Oh, the Black Panther isn't legal yet. Because that would have been, you know what?
And that's another thing too. Like people are saying, like also just the existence of Beetlejuice that also kills Darkseid because you're like, oh, you do something for free, and you're like, no, you're not.
What was free on Darkseid though?
Barrier.
Well, you'd get one square of free barrier because the Khazar
one with that
Darkseid,
and then two. Yeah, and then Proteus gets another 2.
Yeah,
so like,
but
he might not even,
I don't. Oh my god.
I don't know. I don't see that I don't see them touching. Well, they might have ratted him. I mean, but straight up banning him, I don't think they would. He's not. Shouldn't say like he's broken because he's really not that broken, to be honest with you.
But there is a reason why he won 2 states so far.
Well, yeah, because no one was prepared for that, dude. Think about it.
Yeah,
The first
but
time
they had
played
prepared. People had prepared since the first time it won.
Yeah, I mean, he's
been
clearly a
enough
problem figure of the format because just like you said before, Maverick, when you're like, oh, when I was playing that team, it felt like Legacy Thanos, and
Before
yeah, exactly, and I feel like we're in a very similar situation right now for Silver Age. Is if you build a Silver Age team, you have to ask yourself, does it beat Darkseid? If your answer is no, then you don't play that team. You can't. You can't reasonably bring that team to a states event and go, I think I'm going to win. Like, no, because if you lose to a Darkseid, you're just gambling on, is everybody else in the room not going to play Darkseid? I mean, maybe that could be. Maybe you know everybody that's showing up, and you know that nobody owns a Darkseid, no one's going to borrow a Darkseid, and nobody recently bought a Darkseid. You know what I mean? Like, but if you're bringing a team and you're like, I know my team loses to Darkseid, then you just, it's like, why are you showing up?
Yeah, but I definitely I agree that Legacy Odin might be it might be playing Silver Age. I don't know how well you'll see it in Modern Age, but
No. It's not a modern age space. Too many points, but you know, and
well, yeah, I'm glad it wasn't like 200 points, but 150, yeah, it's a stretch.
yeah, like I say, in modern age, he just destroys, I'm sorry, in Silver Age, he destroys Darkseid because, like I said, he just everything that Darkseid wants to do, he can't do it for the entire game. Well, as long as Odin's on the map, and Odin's not easy to take out either. So I think he works really well against Darkseid.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true. And take a couple support pieces, and I took out the Proteus, won by 10 points. Yippee!
Yeah,
That is not a feel good win either.
Hey, bro, a win's a win, but it might not help you make top cut though. You know what?
Yeah,
It will help you get 9th place though.
can you explain to us why that is so such a good thing to hit 9th place, Miguel?
Because you get the first chance of choosing a pog, dude. Like for me, if I'm going to Wisconsin, yeah, I want to get 9th place. I get a weasel pog. You guys keep the chases. I don't care for the chases, man. I don't need a third major Logan. I don't need another my third patch.
It does. I will say, that I get that that it is Deadpool, but I do wish that it was Black Panther for states instead of Deadpool.
Yeah, but it was random though. So like, that's the thing, right? It's granted, being random, but they're not bad sets. Can you imagine if it was a factory set of next phase? You'd be pissed.
Well, no, you get like, Kevin in that. But everyone has Kevin, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, why would you? Who cares about Kevin?
But yeah, no, yeah, to me, I just think that I wish it wasn't Deadpool, just because we've had Deadpool for so long. It's been a while, and we already have the figures.
Yeah, I'm not trying to pick up a third major Logan, dude. I think we're done at 2.
Yeah, But like I said, I don't know. I'm just bringing it back to that Odin because I do think, because obviously, like I said, Beetlejuice makes huge changes to the game and especially to Silver Age. I think he's practically an auto include in Silver Age, which makes me think that he's also going to get an errata. And then if
He
Beetlejuice gets an
counters,
errata, then that's why I think Odin's gonna. I think Odin kind of takes his place. But
he counters trouble alerts, doesn't he?
Trouble alerts are free though. Oh, wait a minute.
I believe the call-in action is free.
yeah, it's the character that that did whatever you need to do is able to to use it, bring him as free. So yeah, Beetlejuice cancels all that. That's what I'm saying. I'm almost certain Beetlejuice is going to get an errata because of that, because of how strong he is in Silver Age. I mean, not to mention even in Modern Age, but Silver Age he's strong because you're actually going to just play him on the map. You're not going to do the sideline stuff. You could just play him on the map.
So with
you
that
have the
being
100
said,
points.
right? I think Beetlejuice will fall on the restricted list.
No.
Yeah, I honestly think I think he will fall on the restricted list. I don't see that. That's just what I think. I don't see him getting banned because that would be really dumb on their part. Yeah, we'll ban this figure, can't use it. So why would I spend $25 to get the iconics?
It all depends on, because we all know that the errata is gonna come day one or sooner, or very, very close to day one of Beetlejuice's actual release, because it breaks the game. It makes the game completely unfun, and like you can't use any powers. You have power action that nullifies so much shit. The thing is, in Silver Age is it nullifies even more, but I don't think it goes to the restricted list because it's going to get an errata. Because why would they put it on the restricted list if it gets an errata? And the other thing is even without a errata, it's a ban because they're not going to allow that thing without a it would break the game so much in Silver. Because putting it on restricted, you're still able to play it. Which, I mean, we're playing Silver Age to play these older figures, is what the reason I believe is.
You know what? You're right. You're right with that because at that point, everybody would put him on the restricted list. Everybody would choose that figure. Because why would you choose Necron?
Because you're picking Scott?
You don't care. You don't care. For supporters. You don't care for Surfer at that point. Yeah, you always choose Beetlejuice. Like, well, I'm not using none of these figures. I guess I'll just choose Beetlejuice.
Most people, I haven't really seen any maggots at all. I actually haven't even seen one on the team.
It's only one maggot.
Exactly. Yeah, maggot is the whole point of maggot is to make a swarm of them, and so a single maggot just doesn't do anything. It doesn't do enough in
even
Silver
one.
Age.
I think one in Silver Age is. There's some teams that you could put him on. It's the problem that he's in the restricted area, which the restricted area, it's obvious it's gonna go to a Scott Porter. I mean, if you had to.
Yeah, I like the restricted list, but I think there should be, like you said, like a separate list of just you can just call it like limited list or something, and just say like,
I think Surfer and Maggot should be on there.
Yeah, you just say like you can for that, like that specific character is considered to be unique. That's it. Like these lists of characters are considered to be unique for this format, and therefore then you can have the restricted list of saying, look, every character on this list, pick one. That's all you get.
Which I think that should just be porters, because I think there's only 4 figures on the restricted list, right? Maggot, Surfer, and then both Scots. I might be missing one.
Well, this is what I was thinking.
I would keep Necron on the restricted because I think they don't want Necron and a Scott Porter.
That's what I was forgetting. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Is there anyone
Well, I was
else
gonna say,
on the restricted?
it's probably gonna be man, it would be really funny to see they do it like how Yu-Gi-Oh does it, where you have like a semi-limited, limited, fan, unlimited. Just think about it, if you can play two
I think they
maggots,
should do it like that. Like they should. I mean, obviously they're not going to do it. With card games, it's kind of like you said. It's like, okay, for example, like, oh, normally you can play up to 3 copies of this card. Well, this card you can only play 2 copies. Of this card you can only play 1 copy, and this card you can play no copies. But I think that kind of thing should exist in the HeroClix for the Silver Age, to say like we just said, Maggot is not a problem character by himself. Maggot's a problem character when you use multiple of maggots. Not
And
Maggot
same
is
with
not a
Surfer.
problem because, oh, you used 1 maggot and double porter. Like that. Okay, so what? That's not the problem. The problem is I used 4 maggots and I carried them all up with Lockjaw, and then they all spawn a thing, and then they all do the free poison, and then they all do an autonomous attack, and then they all disappear. Like that. That's the point. That's the problem of Maggot. It's not because Maggot was on the map with, like I said, with 2 Scott Porters. That's not that's not a problem. So I definitely think they should
He wasn't even allowed with Scott Porters.
I understand, but that's the point. Is like, if I said, look, I'm going to play 3 restricted characters together, like Maggot is not the problem character. Maggot is only a problem when you're playing 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think if he had, if it was like a limit, like or semi-limited to list, right? Then you'd have
Yeah, or
2
just
maggots.
call it the unique list. You can just call it the unique list and just say characters in this list are considered unique in the silver format or in Silver Age, and that's it. And just Maggot is on that list, and like you said, Carnage Silver Surfer's on that list.
Because the problem was 2 Surfers. It was never 1, because it was the fact that it was healing a second character. Because with one of them, it's just
I'm gonna
good.
send out right and that's the thing. That's another reason why like the symbiote, the Prime Spider-Man was banned. Because it's the same thing. Like, you're gonna send him out, he's gonna kill somebody. Both of your surfers are gonna heal. Okay, then you send out another surfer. Oh, and then your second surfer heals. Plus, it's like it's just crazy stuff like that. So, but that's why. And you said just throw him on to say he's unique for this format. He's unique, and it solves all the problems. I get the idea of restricted list, but it's clear, like you said, like some things in the restricted list you're never gonna pick. Like, that's not gonna be your character you use in the restricted list. And I agree that if Beetlejuice was in the restricted list, that's the character you're picking. That's you're playing
every single
Beetlejuice.
time.
Yeah, because he's just like, oh, if I pick Beetlejuice and my opponent picks, one of the Scott Porters, okay, like they can't do anything free, like go ahead.
Yeah.
No, you want to perplex? Nope. You want to sidestep? Nope. All right. Can't do anything. No, you're just gonna sit there.
Yeah, Beetlejuice counters Alpha for like almost everything. I mean,
Yeah, but
so I do think Beetlejuice will need an errata, and then, like I said, I'm putting my stonks in Legacy Odin for the next tent pole-ish figure that causes slight issues in Silver Age.
you think he's gonna cause problems in Silver?
I think when I say cause problems, I mean like be
influence
competitive.
the meta.
He's gonna cause like air quote problems. Not like he's not gonna be toxic for the format. He's gonna cause problems for players that still want to play the other typical toxic teams. Like if a player does still bring Darkseid, even though, like I said, Darkseid's probably gonna get an errata, Odin would just crush him. So
isn't he gonna be legal after states?
Well, realistically,
I think they said he's. No, I believe I'd have to pull it up. I thought they said that states events that take place after Black Panther is modern legal, and then Black Panther's modern legal. Like, you can use them.
But I'm saying how many states are left after Black Panther?
Oh, I mean, it goes all the way through the month of December. So
Yeah, so you probably have one.
So there's
Well,
there's a couple states events this weekend. There's a couple states events next weekend. And then so then next weekend, which is Illinois states, I think. I think Black Panther would be legal for that. So you might actually see people play Legacy Odin. I wouldn't be surprised to see people play Legacy Odin for like that state's event, because it counters Darkseid so hard.
It's gonna be the 3 guys that listen to this, Hel Talk episode.
Yeah, it's literally free action. You win the game. Like, your opponent can't do anything that they want to do. Like, all they can do now with Darkseid is just make an attack, which it's not bad. Let's be real. That's not a bad thing, but that's all they can do. They just
The thing is you put them on Major Brock, they can't do anything. You sit in in the corner of the map, and that Darkseid, you have the alpha on that Darkseid. Like, there's no question.
Well, because the other thing too, like, right. So, for example, say you put a terrain marker in front of them, you can't blow it up, you can't do anything. So then, basically, that's it, right?
Yeah, for a lot of their team, like a typical Darkseid team, I think Darkseid is the only one with a printed damage above 3, right? Or am I wrong on that?
Kazar. I think Kazar has 3.
I'm saying above 3.
Oh, above?
Yeah, he's the only one, yeah.
Printed? Yeah, it's just him.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's plenty of blocking terrain markers that you need 4 or 5 damage to destroy. So, yeah, if you just set that in front of Darkseid, and then you go, you per Degaton the Darkseid into the square that you want. That's right in right in front of the blocking terrain. That's 4 damage, and then you say, Odin, I'm gonna pick him, and then the only thing that he can do is just shoot the wall with Darkseid, and then sidestep up, and that's it. That's all he can do, or else he just sits there and does nothing. So he basically has 2 turns of he can't do anything, literally, other than just shoot a wall and move out of it.
And you just play Space Ghosts, so you force blast them back into that square.
I mean, I don't know if I play Space Ghost, but yeah, it seems like, because if you do it right, I mean, realistically, if you do it right, you should win that match. Because you still have 150 points.
You'd win in a landslide against, like I said, yeah, because he can't.
Yeah.
Like I said, he can't see through things. He can't walk through things. That's number 1. Number 2, yeah, his attack and his defense go down a little bit, whatever. But also, he can't use equipment. So you're like, oh man, like you're getting hit, dude. You're getting hit. Like,
they actually don't have barrier.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't. Yeah.
The only thing is Proteus, which.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the only thing his Darkseid can do is just sidestep and then try to shoot something. But on Major Brock's, like, that's not easy.
It won't happen.
There's gonna be something in the way. So, like I said, for at least for 2 whole turns, the only thing that the Darkseid will be able to do is just sidestep and then shoot a wall.
Wait. Didn't you say he gets a mobile? So how's he moving?
It's not immobile. He gets Earthbound neutralized.
Oh, I thought you said immobile, dude.
No, it's that guy neutralized. That's why it takes away his improved targeting and his improved movement, so he can't see through anything.
Hey, that's how we fix Earthbound. Make him
immobile.
Yeah, no, that's how
you gave him mobile. That would be the most broken fucking figure in the game.
Hey, Matt, we
yeah, he's stuck there. Jesus. Yeah, There's a lot of powers that still have to, they got to fix, man. But, yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Fix the issues. We'll see how it plays out. But they're trying to convince Rick to go to Wisconsin, but I don't know. Because I know he's on the fence about it, and I get it too, Like his argument was, well, I don't want to go there, play stuff that I'm not even familiar with, and it's like, once again, right? It's like I said, I'm sure everybody already knows, right? Everybody knows that that format is really not meant for casual players, or meant for new players, I should say.
Well, it's the same. Like, imagine this in reverse, right? Imagine you played HeroClix 5 to 10 years ago, but you quit. You quit 5 to 10 years ago. So let's say the last set that you were playing, let's see, was I don't know, what's a good example? Let's say it was Rebirth. Right? Rebirth was about 5 years ago. Okay. So let's say you have a factory set of Rebirth. Okay, so you got everything from that set, and then someone asked you, hey, again, you quit, at that time, but you have a factory set of Rebirth, and let's say you have like everything else before that, but but that's when you stopped. Then someone came to you today and was like, hey, do you want to join a competitive HeroClix event today with only the pieces that you have? Like, you don't have anything from the last 5, from the most current 5 years of HeroClix. You'd be like, well, no, like, I'm not gonna win. Like, there's 5 years of HeroClix that came out that I'm not familiar with. I don't know what they do. Like, I cannot do well competitively in an event like that. And it's the exact opposite for newer players for Silver Age. There's 5 to 10 years of sets out there that I'm not familiar with. I don't know what they do. And I'm going to sit down and people are going to be playing them. And then, so it's like, of course, yeah, it's like, well, then you can just learn, but learning how your opponent's teams beat the crap out of you is not doing that in a competitive environment is not the best time. Like, you would want to figure that out, beforehand in a casual setting. But unless you play Silver Age consistently, you don't have a way to do that. And on top of that, there's no guaranteed way of getting those pieces anymore. Of just saying like, okay, well, I'm gonna go get those pieces and practice with them and figure out what's good and what's not. Like, no, like, you either have to just look through the sets and then try them on Roll20 or something, or what. Like, you have no idea what's good or what's not.
Yeah, prime example. Trying to find a Q prime, and it's almost near impossible to find that piece, unless, right, I buy the gravity feed. Now you're talking about $100 for a gravity feed, and that's not even a guarantee that you might pull it, and stuff like that. Even like trouble alerts. I think there's only one listing for a black Vulcan, dude. It's like, it's like I said, the Silver Age format, right? It is for veteran players, realistically. It's if you've been consistently playing the game for a hot minute, or whatever, right? And you have the older stuff, then this is the format for you, But yeah, I don't know, I mean, because even like, I tried getting my brother to do Silver Age. He's like, nah, this ain't for me, bro. He's like, I'll stick to Modern Age if I have a choice. And he doesn't even play as often. He don't.
I mean, even to me, even when we play tested the Darkseid thing, I don't even want to play Silver Age. In this state, it's just not. it's not a fun game. Like, I thought that world after Beetlejuice, No Errata is gonna be just not fun. I think this is probably more unfun than that because it's just like I'm not gonna feel good because I beat someone because they didn't have the figure that I had access to.
No, and that's the thing too, right? Like you can't even get mad about that. Like if they had the figure, they have access to the figure. Like, I can't even get mad. I was like, bro, you got it. But and I'm not trying to bash on Silver Age, but it's like my thing is this: it's the how do you got people that harp on it, you got people that will talk bad about it and then do a complete 180 or whatever the case may be, right? Um, it's say say it how it is. I mean, realistically, it's not an easy format to play, and people need to just get over it that it's not an easy format. It is what it is, and just whatever. What I do like, I think the only the benefit that I liked about it, it's the like I said, well, I think it's two things. It's I get to use my old stuff, so it wasn't like a slap in the face, but it's the price support. I think that's the big factor why it's really pushing for it. Like everybody gets something. I think that's really really cool. It's not like where, oh crap, you went to the States event and then first place gets everything. No, like they break it down. I think that's probably the best way you could do it too. I really think that is the best way.
You could do that with any format though. That's the thing. If they ran this
Yeah,
modern, it would still be the same thing. If anything, to be honest with you, I think if they ran it through modern, they'd get more players for states. I think people
Well,
would
I mean,
show up if
that
it
just
was
goes
modern.
without saying. You just look at the participation on average for competitive events of any format, and it's like 300 Modern Age is the most popular format. It's like also because currently it's what the game is designed around. The game is not designed around 400 Silver Age. You can argue like, hey, WizKids is coming out with the 400, 400 point pack of figures or whatever, but that doesn't mean that they're designing the game around 400 points. Because it's even in 300 Modern Age, the game is complicated enough as it is. The number of triggers that you have to remember. 400 points just makes that even more complicated, and then Silver Age makes it exponentially more complicated. So, it's not. Yeah, it's by definition, it's almost not. It almost can't be a more popular format just based on how complex it is. It's never gonna be as popular as just 300 Modern Age.
And that's the thing that I guess I was trying to get at is you can't force people to like this format because you want to build a community. Not saying build a community, but you just can't force someone to like this format. Like you're entitled to your own, views and all that stuff. Like this format is difficult. It's not easy. There's a lot of stuff that you could do or whatever, and yeah, it's not like the Modern Age. It's completely different. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just two completely different formats. One's a little bit less fun than the other, right? I think that's just what it is.
Yeah, I mean, one at least you stay in a shot if you're not if you don't have 20 years of clicks.
Yeah, and I'm not like trying to make this like a conversation like, oh, let's fucking bash on Silver Age, this and that. No, it's just like that's just my honest opinion about it. I think the format is, I like Silver Age because I get to use my old stuff, but it is not a format for a new player Because
Yeah, I
just trying to
think
find.
that's probably one of the most difficult things to do. It's tough. So it's almost like I think it won't be that difficult to get somebody who used to play the game that maybe hasn't played in a while to join a Silver Age event if they don't know anything about what Silver Age competitive is. Like if they have no idea what they're running into, I think it would be easier to get them to join that event. Be like, hey, come on and play this event. And then they're gonna go. They're obviously gonna get whooped. And then it's like, now try making them come back for a second event. It's I think it's almost impossible to get a player who knows what Silver Age competitive events are like, who doesn't have the competitive Silver Age pieces or teams, in their possession. How do you get those players to go to an event? Like, if they know what they're getting into, I think that's next to impossible.
Yeah, that's part of it,
The
right
hardest
there.
thing to do in HeroClix.
Yeah, that is. I think that's the biggest thing about it, because you run into the problem pieces, right? Or just run into like complex stuff, and then God forbid, right? You play against a player that hasn't played in a hot minute, that doesn't know like the rulings that, or the rules that update, right? And now it's an awkward situation, because you know in your mind that it's intended to work in a certain way with these new rules, right? But in their mind, 5-10 years ago, no, it was never like that. And that's man, that's an uphill battle, dude. That's a back and forth uphill battle.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like it's that it's people. I don't like being in a situation like that, dude. But I just like I have to put myself in a new player's perspective and think about that. I don't have all the if I want to win and do well, I have to invest money into this, which with anything, right? You have to invest a little bit, right? But then trying to find the old stuff, right? That people don't get rid of, or they quit, and you there's no way you can find it. eBay, Troll and Toad, and cool stuff. You could only do so much, right, to find these pieces. And then you got the secondary market, which is Facebook. Well, I mean, it's whatever, right? It's always a secondary market, right? And you got Facebook, and people are overinflated some of the pieces. Like, well, I want to get this amount of money, and it's not worth that much, or whatever. Or it is. Like, I guess for a perfect example would be Sky Tyrant, right? Sky Tyrant was $40, right? After he rotated out. Right? $40, and he was on the watch list, right? All of a sudden now he skyrockets because he came off the watch list or the ban list or whatever. He's at $100+. And where are you going to find a Sky Tyrant? No one. You don't see it on Facebook. You look on eBay. No, sold out. That's the stuff that I'm saying. It's like, this format is not intended for a new player. And people so like, I guess when people give their opinions, they just have to let it go, bro. Like, that's what it is. Like, you can't get butthurt about it. That is the reality of it. This format is not for a new player.
And that's a really good point too. Is imagine, like I said, imagine that your last set was Rebirth, right? And someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I know you haven't played HeroClix in a while, but there's a format specifically designed to allow you to play older pieces. As long as the piece has a card with a dial on it, and you can use it in this format." And you're like, "Oh, wow. So that means I can use all my stuff that I still have." And they're like, "Yep, you can use all that stuff." And then you show up, and then like you said, Miguel, and then imagine they just face double Sky Tyrant Venom Magneto, and you lose in like 2 turns. And you're just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Like that how is that a good experience? And you're like, what did I learn from that game? You're like, I learned that apparently there's this piece called Sky Tyrant that just automatically wins the game because he hits you from all the way across the map for an insane amount of damage, and then he ends his turn back in his starting area. Like, what the heck? Like, it's just,
And like,
it's so
and we
insane.
we both know that like Sky Tyrant doesn't like win games, but like win all the time or like an auto win, right? But we know that as a new player sits behind that, right? He's like, what the heck just happened? Like you said, right? They're like, well, crap. If I want to invest in this game, I have to get stuff like that. Which then, where do you find it? I think that's the biggest problem too. It's one of the biggest problems with that format is trying to find older stuff. Granted, there's like the Mooching House from Facebook. I think that's PJ's page, but sometimes that's not even that reliable, dude. Because if you look, right? Well, look at it, right? So if you look, when there's a couple people, right, that you have no idea who this guy is, this and that, are you going to let them borrow it? Probably not. But if it's like a person that, like, oh, we know this guy, yeah, we'll let him borrow it. We trust his judgment, even though you probably never met the guy, but you've seen him around. But I think that's the other issue. I think it's not an easy format for a new player. I sound like a broken record player saying it, and it's the availability. I can't even say that word. So the pieces being available that you need to be very difficult to find. I think that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, because the only place to get it is some random dude's basement that he's hoarding all of them, or you know what I mean? Like, everybody that currently has one is not going to sell it, or if they do, they're gonna charge way more than market value, and yeah, it's kind of like a new player to the Silver Age format is almost like they're gate kept. It's like you can see all of the good pieces and good teams and everything like that, but you can't get them. You can't get them. You can just see them, and you can lose against them. Of course, you can lose against them, but you can't use them. So.
Yeah, you could see my $1,000, but you can't have it.
I know it's impossible, right? I know it's extremely impossible, right? But it would be nice, right, if WizKids did granted, like a legacy set, right? And what I mean by that, instead of putting legacy cards in these sets, right, just make a specific set, like at the beginning of the year, right? Like, these are all the pieces that are going to come out, right, for the future sets. But you could get them, right, in this brick or whatever, Because, man, I don't know how you...
They should just make factory sets and sell them. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, if you said, hey, I want to get into Silver Age, but, oh, look, they have actually factory sets, of those, older sets, you can just buy that. Obviously, I'm not saying that they should sell a factory set when a set is brand new. It defeats the purpose of blind boosters. But, if a set's already been out for several years, and then they make a second run of it, but it's only factory sets. They're just like, hey, look, do you want a factory set of? I'm going to use the set Rebirth again, but again, like, if it was like, hey, you can get a factory set of Rebirth for, I don't know, like $100 or $200 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as an example, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, because from WizKids' perspective, like it doesn't cost them that much money to actually make pieces and stuff and all that, and so it's I just don't know. I don't know how much, but then again, it's a kind of from a business standpoint, that's just the opportunity cost kind of calculator thing of if they're spending their time ordering and making sure that they have and working with their warehouse partners to making sure that they have factory sets of older sets
Well,
in stock
and
for
see, this is,
people.
and
If they do that, you can't call it a collectible game though, because it's not collectible anymore.
Bro,
well,
it's
this is the other
what
thing.
are iconics? What are iconics? It's the same
Yeah,
same
but
thing.
Iconics doesn't overhaul the entire game. It's like a one or two,
Yeah, but again,
every once in a
You
while.
I'm
just
saying
said
that they do
about
this years
Beetlejuice.
after a set comes out. I'm saying they do this years after a set comes out. So this would be when a set is like the set would already have to be rotated out. I'm not advocating for them to sell any factory sets of modern age stuff. No, I wouldn't advocate that. I'm just saying like
I agree it would be a great thing. I'm just, playing devil's advocate or whatever, being like, well,
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, so, like with that, right? It gives the opportunity for a new player to at least have somewhat of a shot in this format. That's the best way. I mean, because I really don't know. I don't know how, and how do you go about introducing this format to a new player? Like, it's
I don't think any format besides modern age you introduce a new player to. Like, just being clear. Like, I don't think there is a format. Maybe Pulp, just because like you could get the team for like under $20, but even then, I don't think that is even a good format because they have to know all the little things. I think introducing a new player is you bring them to a casual night. You're not bringing this new player to a competitive event because they're not going to know half the triggers. They're not going to know any, they're not going to understand Outwit day one. They're not going to understand Prob right away. You got to explain it all, and that's a casual setting. You don't go to a competitive game and be like, oh, well, this is this, and this is this. Like, they're not going to understand any of it, and it's just going to be like a slaughter, which they're not going to want to show back up. And that goes for any competitive format for a new player. Casual is the only place you'd bring a new player so they could learn all the triggers, learn all the little things, and become familiar enough. And then if they like that, then they could go play competitive on their own, accord or whatever. Because you going into a competitive step is a huge leap. Because you are keeping up to date with every little thing, and you have to keep up with your spending the money to get the figures that you need. You gotta there's a lot more than just learning the game if you want to go competitive. You also have to look at it from like the side of, all right, so now I have to buy these figures. I have to figure out what my team is. I gotta practice my team 100 times. And it's acquiring the figures that's the secondary part of competitive. It's not just learning how your team gets played. And I think bringing a new player into any format besides casual, modern, is not even worth it to bring them because they're not going to like the game, after that. Because they're going to be like, oh, this game's way too complicated to learn. I sat down and I just got my ass kicked, and
Yep.
I don't think that is good. I think that a casual format is the way, and the only way for a new player. When someone takes the competitive step, there is learning to be involved there again, because now you're learning little things of like, oh, this is a competitive team, and, I'm going to be playing against this probably more times than just this
But
once,
so this is the thing, right? So when you say casual format, I mean realistically, right? So we're playing Pulp, right? Or say, for example, right? Because this is the best example I could give, because Matt was there. So if the format's, we'll just say 300 modern age, right? Or no, it's 400 modern age, right? And everybody, it's whatever, right? You can play your supers, chases, ultra chases, whatever, right? And one player plays all commons and still does good, right? Then how do you say that it was a casual? And this player is a veteran player, so you really can't say it was a. I guess it doesn't make a difference what format it is then.
What, for a veteran player coming back into the game? Because if it's a veteran player coming back into the game, once again, depending on when they left, if it was before Wonder Woman 80, the PAC changed. There's the comprehensive rules. They also have to learn about terrain markers. That's another whole thing. Is like if it was before Wonder Woman 80, that player still has to pretty much play a casualer event just so that they can relearn everything.
Even if they try, so that's the thing, right? Even if they relearn stuff, there's going to be things that they still change, right? And they're going to go back and forth. They're going to say, well, it didn't work this way before. How do I know you're telling the truth? Even after you explain the rulings or whatever, you're always going to run into
If they're
players
questioning how the game gets played, then you just pull out the comprehensive rulebook. If they I don't see why they would question it. I could see why they question it, why it got changed, but I don't think they'd be acting like you're lying.
I will say this: then you haven't played against people that will question the rulings enough.
Because
I ran into that before, and it's like it's hard to explain to someone, right, that hasn't played the game 5 years ago, that this does not work the way it used to. It works this way, and people get so stubborn and they get pissed, and that's another way you piss someone off is because you're not trying to be maliciously by telling them the correct ruling, but they take it as that. They take it as like you're trying to one-up them.
I think that's kind of like you just got to be really patient with that. If you know that player's going to do that stuff, then that's like a player thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what if it's not a player that you don't know? That's the point I'm trying to say. It's a brand new player you never played against before, right? They just came back from the game and says, "No, it works this way." And you're going to argue. You're going to not argue. You're going to make the statement that no, the rules have updated and changed to work this way. Now they're going to say, well, now you got two people saying one, it works this way, and then the other guy says it works this way. And no one in the room, right, is up to date with the rules but the person who knows that this has changed to this.
Then you have to sit there and go through the comprehensive rulebook to show them that it changed.
Because I ran into that before, and even after the comprehensive rulebook, dude, like it was still like, no, you're wrong.
And they're not ready to come back to the game. If they can't get past that's
the point. That's the point that I'm trying to make. If some people are not willing to make the change like that, and a player that's played,
then why would I care about trying to bring you back? Like I tried, but if you are not willing to comply to come back to this game, and I've showed you the correct ruling, I've literally went through the comprehensive rulebook and I showed you it, then I mean, what else can I actually do? Like that is a personal thing about that person that you can't you can't do anything about, which that's on them. That's not on you. You tried to bring them into the game, you explained everything, you were patient with them, you showed them exactly the stuff that they had questions about, and if they still want to be like, well, no, it's this way, then play out that game and don't invite them back, and just don't play against them.
But we're not. But that's not the whole. We're not trying to say, screw you, you're not allowed to play. No, bro. The whole thing about this is building the community. That's always
if you don't want to play the game correct after saying that multiple people have also said this, because you're probably, if you're at a store, multiple people are there, and as I believe as you said that it's there's no judge there, because judge has final ruling. So, the player, will have to deal with the judge ruling. Which, if there's no judge there, then I can't do anything about this player's you know mind state on that ruling. Like, that is, if they don't want to comply, then I can't do anything, and I can't help you come back to the game. I can't help you become part of this community if you don't want to change, because the game changes. If
Bro,
the
you sound
person
like
doesn't want to
Obama,
change with
bro.
the game, I'm just saying, if you could tell me how you change someone's mind on something that, as you're stating, they're that stubborn on, then I mean, it's a lost cause. I mean, I'm wasting my time trying to bring you back if you're that stubborn. Like, I could go through all the movement and everything to try, be as patient as you possibly can as a human being. But there's a point where it's like, if the person isn't going to go with the new ruling, then I can't. You physically can't do anything about that. So I don't really understand, like, how it's not helping grow the community because the person isn't, complying to the game. At the end of the day, it's a game. At the end of the day, the rules are written as they are. And if it's also, if I'm being honest here, it is a hard game to get people to play because it's so technical. It's harder than than almost any card game because there's so much more to the game than there is in card games. And it's the same thing in Magic. If someone um doesn't want to comply to the rules, then I mean, what are you gonna do? If they're stubborn on that, then how do I tell them? How am I gonna go about trying to change their mind if I've done everything to change their mind on it and show them the proof? So I don't really understand your thing with that.
Yeah, it's tricky to have certain players, especially newer players, not get frustrated even when you show them the comprehensive rule book, because a lot of times you have to explain the unfortunate nature of how the rule book is written, in the sense that it's like the language that's specifically chosen for the rule book. It almost comes from its own world. Like you
Like
have
trying to
to
read broken English.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's almost like its own language, in the sense of you can't interpret the words of the rule book as normal English. Like, if you were just opening up a normal book and reading it, the comprehensive rule book doesn't usually work that way. I mean, it's tough to explain to either new players or players that are just not familiar with a new version of the comprehensive rulebook, that specific words need to be read with more emphasis than others, and there is no there's no basis for that. Like, the rulebook doesn't tell you to do that, but you kind of have to read almost between the lines and know that you have to do that based on almost like context clues from other rules documents and from the powers of characters and for example, if you if you're showing a player to say, like, okay, multiple effects trigger at the same time, whatever, and it's like, okay, well, that doesn't mean that they resolve at the same time. And then you have to explain to them, like, okay, and then even if they do resolve at the same time, they technically, like, simultaneous resolving effects don't resolve simultaneously. What? You know what I mean? It's like they don't all happen at the same time. It's like, so then why are you using the word simultaneous if it's not simultaneous? It's not happening at the same time. What actually happens is you get to choose the order in which it happens. So it's not simultaneous. It's effects that want to resolve simultaneously, but you can't. So, but the rule book doesn't specifically state that, it would be nice if the rule book said something like effects cannot resolve simultaneously. If there are multiple effects that would try to resolve simultaneously, instead what you do is, X, Y, and Z, right? But they use the word simultaneously resolving effects. And then you look at it and it's like, but they're not resolving simultaneously. So like that type of contradiction where it's like from a rule book standpoint, from the person who wrote the rules and also from a game design standpoint, like you understand, like from that mindset, you understand like, no, that's the proper phrase. It's supposed to say simultaneously resolving effects because they are resolving simultaneously, but physically in a game, you can only do one thing at a time, like physically speaking, so you have to decide, what you're going to do. You know what I mean? Like
it should be called order of effects.
Right. Right. But even then, it's like the order is they all happen at the same time. And then someone would argue, oh, well, and it's the order in which they triggered in. And it's like, no, actually, the order in which an effect's triggered in doesn't matter. It matters in the order in which they resolve, or I should say, the timing of when an effect triggered doesn't matter. The timing of when it resolves, that's what matters. And yeah, but like I said, just that concept alone, where it's like, if you're reading the word and it's like, I understand the definition of this word, but the rule book is not using the dictionary definition of that word to describe the process of how to actually play the game. You know what I mean? So that does happen in quite a few places. So it is a frustrating experience to try to convince somebody who will be like, okay, I'm going to pull up the dictionary definition of simultaneous. I will read it to you. And then they're going to say, and you're telling me that simultaneously resolving effects, which is what the rulebook says, they don't resolve simultaneously. And you're like, yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. And you're like, and then if you tell them that, again, imagine this from a reasonable human standpoint. It's like, why should I believe anything you're saying? It's like, you're literally telling me that like black is white and up is down. You know what I mean? It's so unfortunately, there are moments in HeroClix where you'll get players that will get frustrated like that, and it's almost impossible to bring them back into the fold of saying like, no, this is just how it works, because to them, you're the crazy one. You're telling them that things, don't mean what the words actually mean. But again, like to you or me, or to us, we look at them and saying like, oh, they're being difficult and they don't want to play the game the correct way. So, who cares about them? And it's like, no, like they're just reading the words based on the dictionary definition of the words, and yeah. So like, and a good example again is like when I made the question about the Shatterstar question. Another thing, it's like, okay, well, how could the second attack occur if the first attack didn't occur? And it's like, well, it's because it's referring to the second attack of flurry, not the second attack of the action. You know what I mean? It's like, but where is that written? Where is that written? It's not written anywhere. You're just supposed to know that. and yeah, so it's very difficult for a new player or or just a player who's more familiar with an older version of the comprehensive rules to just say that, hey, dictionary definition, you don't think about that. You can't think about the dictionary definition of words. You have to think about the definition within HeroClix rules, and again, unfortunately, it's not possible for someone who's not already kind of deeply entrenched in HeroClix to just, with a snap of their fingers, understand it very well and just get that mindset. So it's really difficult.
That makes sense. I mean, at the end of the day, if they don't want to, even explaining all that, and they still say their thing is correct, what do you do? And I think it is
Exactly.
just the fact that you just have to sit there and play their way, and you then just don't go back. If it's at a certain location, just don't go back.
But then
And
it defeats the purpose of growing the community. Again,
so you're gonna go back to a place that doesn't play the rules correctly, where you can't even explaining everything. You know what? Even if I went
in an
as
ideal
far,
scenario, there would be a way. In an ideal scenario, there would be a way to have an official rules source for the game that replies to questions quickly, ideally. So, I mean, of course, the Facebook groups are great, but unfortunately, even for someone like me, when I'm one of the ones that answers a lot of those questions on Facebook, so therefore, if someone disagrees with me, like, I'm no longer the reliable source, right? They have to wait for somebody else to answer the question. And then if somebody else answers the question, it's kind of like I have to, I shouldn't say I have to, but in scenarios where we are waiting for someone else to answer the question, and we have to hope that whoever does answer the question
answers it correctly.
One, exactly, answers it correctly, and two, the other person believes them. You know what I mean? Like, I have no, they have no good reason to believe me, so I don't know what would be a good reason to believe any, random person online. So that's the other thing. It would be really nice to have a more active rules team or a more active avenue for asking rules questions and getting official answers. Like, the answer from this person, like it is official. You know what I mean? And or whether or not it be perfectly correct, like just for that specific, like if you want to ask a question, the answer from this person is official, for the next 24 hours or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's really difficult to do in a game like HeroClix because some questions are pretty complicated, and the initial answer that even most judges could give is incorrect, and then it takes I don't know how many people are on their rules team for HeroClix, but sometimes it takes the entire rules team to actually get together and go, like we either made a mistake or we forgot about something, or we didn't realize people were playing this incorrectly, and then they have to come out and make a correction for it, sometimes years after the fact. My best example of that is Keeper Collector.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody played that piece wrong until all of a
It was
sudden one
even
day they're
being
like,
played wrong when the ruling was correct, and then because certain tables didn't get the ruling yet, because it wasn't asked.
When was the ruling? Wasn't this in Worlds, right? I could have thrown it was in Worlds.
I don't think it was, but
it was a
I'm not
big
sure.
event. It was a big event.
Maybe ROC?
It was before Dan started streaming live.
That's a good
Or
question.
anyone started streaming, in fact. So
Around Worlds time does seem correct.
it had to have been before. It had to be before Worlds, because the ruling was in play for Worlds.
Man, remember, I think you're just making up dates now, bro.
No. Because I'm saying it happened during games. Like I
Well, yeah,
remember
it has to happen during
it
games.
happened during a game. A judge made the ruling, and it was the correct ruling. And then some people still played it wrong because the ruling didn't get to their table. And then it finally got to everyone, and then it finally was officially posted, and then everyone it was playing that way for Worlds. I swear it wasn't during Worlds.
Makes sense.
At least from my memory. If it was from Worlds, then my bad. But I
No,
do
no,
not think it
I'm just
was.
saying it feels like it would have happened at Worlds for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, because
But
that Worlds, even the top table wasn't. I don't think it was streamed even the top table, because I believe the year after that was when people started to stream Worlds. But I think going to your thing, Miguel, is like, how do you convince someone that doesn't want to do it, and then if you can't, then how do you grow the community? Like, yeah, there's ideal play things for
yeah,
that. Like, it would be
you can't just
amazing.
tell someone like, oh, just because you have a disagreement, you can't just tell them like, all right, you're not allowed to play. I mean, you just don't kick someone out like that.
But if you're the one running the events, then your say is final. For as if you were also judged for the event, the judge has final say. So whatever the ruling the judge says is the ruling. But if there is no judge, then at that point in time, you can't do anything. There's literally nothing you can do.
It's
One of
almost
you
like
has to compromise.
it's almost like you have to introduce like a proper etiquette. Well, not I shouldn't say etiquette because that's not the right thing, but where the person running in the event, right? Any event, big, small, whatever, has to make uh declare, right? So, for example, I think red, white, and clicks was the perfect example, right? So PJ even said, right? It's like I'm the head judge, right? I'm the only judge, right? So my ruling goes. Now, if it's after an event, right? And he looked it up, like, hey, by the way, I was wrong. It actually works this way, which it did. There was no situation like that, but I'm just saying, if you make it clear, whoever's running the event, right, making it very clear that, hey, this is what it is. Now, after the game, right, then we'll investigate, but we need to progress the game so there's enough time for both players.
So that's what I just said. Is the judge makes the final call. That's how it always has been since
Yeah, but
since I started playing clicks,
yeah. So the
during Age
thing,
of Ultron.
so what you're misunderstanding, it's there's some events that you're not used to, like the venues that you normally don't go to, right? There's venues that just run events without making that very clear.
So,
But
are you saying that in the event description, not everyone just has to write "Judge makes
no,
final calls"?
you're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying to put that on the win. I'm just saying make it very clear, right? That hey,
So then say at the beginning of the event,
yes, that's what I'm saying.
which is the same thing as just putting it on the win. Because how else would they know how to go to the event?
Nobody reads the event
Oh
description
my god,
on
Maverick,
the
you're going
actual.
like 180, bro. Like
Well,
you're
that's
just
what I
being
mean. Is that then you show them the win? I'm just saying. Like at the end of the day, it's the judge makes the final call. It doesn't matter how you put it out there. The judge makes the final call. Like you could put it on the win, and then if they want to be like, well, it's not. I didn't read the win. Then you just show them the win. And it's like, well, this, the thing. Because I mean, I've never heard of anyone. Let's ask right now, Matt. Are you going to start doing that now at the beginning of events?
Oh, well, I think the point Miguel is saying is that it needs to actually be communicated to the players at those big events, or just at events, with new
Well,
players.
that's why I'm
If you tell
asking.
it,
It's not.
because if you start a game and you don't have that communicated to them, then they have all the more reason to complain and get angry about situations, because they'll be like, "Oh, why is it your say?" Like, because the whatever issue that caused them to start, saying like, no, it works this way. Like that already happened, so you can't go back and say, all right, well, I know I forgot to tell you this before, but I'm the one who makes the call, and they're like, says who? But if you gotta say like, okay, but before we even start round one, like, you have to establish that like these are the people that make the call. All right, and that's it.
That's what I'm asking. Is now for Hell events, are you going to at
Oh
the
my
beginning?
God, you're
Well,
making
I'm
it
just saying,
go
if
on a
that's the way
180.
that it gets fixed, then everyone has to start doing it, right? To fix the problem that you came with, Miguel, is now
It's not. It's not. It's not even a problem that I came up with. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm
As
just saying,
the past,
it's a situation that does happen, and you know you did say that it does happen, and it has happened to you. So that now our events now going to have that be said at the beginning of
oh
the
my
event.
God, I think Maverick missed the whole point.
No, I get it. I get it. It has to be
I don't think you
communicated.
do. I think you're just being Maverick.
You want it. You want something communicated to the players because the game doesn't communicate it to them, and you don't want them to get frustrated because of and then lose them from growing into the community.
We're specifically
So
talking about stuff that's part of the new player experience. So we're not
that's what
talking
I
about, like,
mean.
if
So
it's you, me, and Miguel sitting in the room. I'm not gonna make this announcement. You know what I mean? We understand.
yeah, I should have clarified. If it's obvious people that show up to the event and they know, then
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
and
then
that's
yeah.
and that's
but
exactly what I
now
do.
if
Like,
there is new players, is that
I
something that you
I always say,
is going
anytime
to?
if somebody shows up to one of our events and they haven't participated in one of our events before, I will say that. I'm like, yep, just so you know, I'm the judge. I'll make the call. If you have an issue, you better ask, while the game is actually being played. If you ask me when the game's over, I can't do anything for you. So, but yeah, it's one of those things where, like you said, you have to establish that beforehand. You can't do that, in the middle of a game.
Because I also feel like
Problematic ever.
if the people, most venues started establishing that, I think it eliminates majority of the issues.
It's also not to put it like a little side thing is like the game is not newcomer friendly at all. It's a very much pay to win game, like
I
in a
think we've
way.
already established this, right? I think it is not a new player friendly or whatever.
Which I mean, with everything else added on top, even if you went through all the trouble to like try to get a new player, not they still have to spend their own money on the game, and I think that is the
I mean, it's a hobby
honest
at the
big.
end of the day. You're gonna have to spend some kind of money, but yeah, I do think there should
It's
be a
exceptionally high
format
on the
that's
amount of money.
there should be a format.
No,
No, I mean,
compared to other stuff,
yeah, you look at
Is you can't just buy one. It's not like a card game where you could buy one deck and you're usually good for a good while. It's
nah, bro. Because let's see. What was it freaking? I played Yu-Gi-Oh. That is not a fun game because there's no like a resource. Also, like the set drops and then it happens to me. I think when like this mechanic pendulums came out, right? Immediately got some of the problem cards got banned, and the set wasn't even out that long. Granted, I know we're going off topic, but
Mhm. I mean, I played a lot of Pokemon, and coming from that standpoint, I just know that like a lots of people just were kept bringing the same decks for like a long time
yeah,
until a new set
but that's
dropped,
card games
and then it's
though.
just like Well, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Is a card game you could just sit there, buy one deck, and you're good for a while, and then you're gonna have to buy more. But you're not gonna. You don't have to go crazy like you do with HeroClix, because if you really want to play the game, it's not like you can buy one team and you're good off for a while. It's like you're buying like hundreds of dollars in a bunch of figures to just have the ability to build, different teams.
I think that's
And
one of the draws of HeroClix is that you can build so many different teams that do different things, and especially for a lot of players that care about the the actual character itself and how they're represented, and how they were in the comics, and they're doing the thing that I saw them do in the comics or in the TV show or whatever. I think for some players that means that means more to certain players than others. But I don't know. I don't think it what's it called? I lost my train of thought now. I don't think that necessarily having a game, to your point of saying like, okay, yeah, you can't just get a HeroClix team and have it be good for like years and years. Well, I think that's just kind of the nature.
I was saying you can't really have it be good for like, just like you could play it once, but you're not going to really play it like a second time. Like,
Well,
I mean, tell that to Daniel Paul and Legacy Thanos, man. I mean, the dude, he played that team.
he played that for a year,
a good
man.
example.
That is some straight dedication, man.
I think there are definitely teams that you can play out the wazoo, and you might change one thing here or there, but you can definitely play. Daniel Powell played Legacy Thanos like crazy. Patrick Frazier to this day is still playing
Captain America.
Pegasus Cap. You know what I mean? It's just like there's certain things that, again, like the total characters of the team might change a little bit, but like the overall like actions of what you're doing, of like, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, in order to deal damage to a character, or just how to score points or whatever. Like that's kind of the strategy of how you want to play the game might result in you playing different characters over time. But I think you can still play a similar style. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't think it matters who's on the dial. But yeah, there's I think that's the same though with most card games. It's kind of like, yeah, hey, you buy a deck, right? It's the best deck that's they're the best version of the deck that's out there. A new set comes out. Oh, like one card in that new set is slightly better than a version of the card that's in your deck. Okay, yeah. I mean, you can go and get it and replace it in your deck, and your deck is a little bit better, but you don't have to, so you decide not to. And it's like, I feel like that's kind of how it is for a lot of HeroClix too, and it especially depends on when, like if you're playing Modern Age format, for example, it depends on when you decide to like buy that Modern Age team, right? If you decide to buy, like, I'm gonna get a Modern Age team right after rotation, like that's when the Modern Age pool is the smallest. So you're probably gonna have to be changing that team after a while. But if you buy a Modern Age team like 6 to 9 months after rotation, then I mean, you're good for at least another 6 months. Even if you're like, I'm not gonna, I don't care what comes out in the next 6 months. I'm never gonna replace anybody on my team with any other character. And it's like, yeah, you can do that. You might not be the ideal team, but we've seen it being done before.
I kind of messed up my statement, I guess. I mean, like, you said going against or not going against. It's kind of the thing of the game is to build different teams. That's kind of like the draw. as you were saying. And it's like that is what I was kind of more trying to say is like you playing the same team might win you competitive all the time. Like the Legacy Thanos did, and he did. I think it was like 3 pieces that he did differently, over time of that set. It's like it went from like the Mary Janes to the like collector stuff, and then I think there was like a couple other swaps in there. But what I guess I'm trying to say is like you got to spend a lot of money to have multiple different teams of actually playing what you think is fun to play. Because playing the same team, in a competitive standpoint, that probably is fun. But for some players to play against the same thing over and over again, or play the same thing over and over again, isn't always fun in a less major competitive format. Is I guess what I was trying to say is like you want to have the ability to make multiple different teams, but
Yeah, I think that's
that
also the
means
difference
completely
between
different figures.
yeah, one of the big differences of HeroClix and like card games is that when you play a game of HeroClix, you are always playing your whole team and your opponent is always playing their whole team. When you're playing a card game, you're inherently not playing your whole deck, and your opponent is inherently not playing their whole deck. You're just getting whatever you draw, and they're getting whatever they draw. So every time you play, there's that luck of the draw that you can, in one game you do really well, the next game you don't. Whereas in HeroClix, it's like, oh, if I'm going to play against this guy and his team is better than mine, if I run it back a second time, the results are probably going to be the same. Like, it's not like, oh, well, obviously there's dice rolls, mechanics, right? But the randomness of what your team is capable of that isn't random. Your team is always capable of whatever you built it to do. But a card game, you can build a deck to do a certain thing, but you're not guaranteed that it's going to be able to do that thing every game. Like, you have to draw the cards you need to do the thing. But with HeroClix, it's just boom, everything's right there on the map. Go. You whatever you built your team to do, go do it. So that's that type of randomness that you see in card games where someone can build a deck and you can play that deck 100 times because every time you play it, it's a little bit different. But with a HeroClix team, it's the same team over and over, and I think that's why you're encouraged to just play different things. Like, okay, just swap one guy out, just do something different, and you can say, like, from a competitive standpoint, yeah, if every single team that you're trying to build has to be both completely different and competitive, oh yeah, you're going to be spending a lot of money. But I don't think so. I think it's like if you have 1 or 2 teams that you're comfortable bringing to a competitive environment, and then everything else can just be casual. I mean, that's pretty much how it is for me. Like, you know what I mean? I have 1 or 2 teams that I'm like, yeah, I think I could bring this. Like, if I had to, like if Worlds was tomorrow, I would have 1 or maybe 2 teams that I would be comfortable playing at Worlds. But I, there's a bunch of stuff that I'd be comfortable playing tomorrow if it was just for fun, just for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of competitive, so I know Maverick is you were shitting on it before, but phone booth is that the new competitive blocking terrain that everyone's going to be using?
The phone booth?
Yeah.
I don't think so because it gives it to your opponent, doesn't it?
If they're standing next to him, yeah, you just move away.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I guess my thing is like you're using it, right? And if you go second, and they have a character, not saying this is ever always gonna happen or anything, they have a character that can pick it up. Their first turn, they go pick it up, and it's a character that they might not care about dying. Now they have the phone booth, and all their characters have shape change except for that one character. and then
Are you telling me? Are you telling me you're gonna come all the way across the map and pick it
Well,
up?
it's a special
and then
one,
run?
so it's 5 squares out as well.
So, but you're telling that's what you're saying? You're telling you're gonna
I'm
come
just
out?
saying that not just that alone. It also, because of, unless you put it on a character that can move through characters and has like sidestep, like per Degaton, that's a good example of someone that you would hope that could have picked it up but can't. If there's a character that can do stuff like that, that's perfect, because then your opponent can never get any way to place adjacent. Because the second your opponent, kills one figure, they can get a figure into that slot that now has the shape change. And I think letting your opponent giving the ability for your opponent to have shape change is kind of just, to me, it's like, it's a win lose, and then it's also like a lose win. It's like you're gaining, but your opponent's gaining at the same time. And granted,
Well, how many teams are you building where on turn one you're walking all the way over for? Okay, so let's say, like, imagine this is nifty traffic.
probably zero.
Right?
Like for me,
That's what I'm
building,
saying.
probably
Nifty
zero.
traffic barrel. How many times with nifty traffic barrel? Let's assume like nifty traffic barrel. Like, oh, I know what I'm saying is that it just works for the opponent, but like you're not going all the way over to pick up nifty traffic barrel and like running all the way back to your starting area. You know what I mean? Like you're going over there.
I'm going there to destroy it,
just
but
to punch it. But even then, it's like that's for a lot of time teams. It's like that's the whole point. Like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go over there and score 5 points. Okay, but then you just broke immunity with a character that's worth more than 5 points. Like they're dead. So
yeah, I've done that multiple times where I just shot the traffic barrel and then I'll take 5 points, but then it's like, well, broke immunity or whatever.
The nice thing is when you're also playing Daredevil, because if they're playing Nifty Traffic Barrel, most of the time they have a Daredevil. So if you have your own Daredevil and you could just pick theirs up, and for whatever reason you weren't playing one yourself.
So and that's the difference too between nifty traffic barrel and this. Like the phone booth is blocking terrain, so you need super strength to pick it up. So again, like what character with super strength are you walking all the way across? Are you gonna you're gonna break first turn immunity to walk all the way over there to pick it up, and then get all the way back to your starting area? And I say get all the way back to your starting area because I'm assuming this is the only character that you're gonna break immunity with. And then, but then again, if that's the only character you're breaking immunity with, that doesn't make sense because if you're carrying the phone booth, you don't get super shape change. Only adjacent characters get shape change. And if all of your other characters still have immune, then what's the point of giving them shape change if they already have immune for that turn? So then you're saying that you're just going to move up basically your whole team and just stand around, the phone, the guy carrying the phone booth, like,
unless you have like a team built for that. I get that does not make sense.
It's like, all right, yeah, again, it's like you could do that, but what that basically does, it's like, all right, yeah, I'm giving them shape change, but I get Alpha Strike on them because I'm forcing their whole team to basically move all the way across the map. And then they're gonna have action tokens too, so it's like it's even better than Alpha Strike. It's like I'm incapacitating a couple people for free, and then I get crazy Alpha Strike on them because they're like standing right in front of me. So I don't know. I think it's really good, and and not to mention too, like if you just go first, if you're the one to pick it up right away, I think that's and it's right in front of you. So I think
I remember you saying that Kong is the obvious person that you'd play it with.
Well, I was saying that mainly because you can have more people adjacent to him. I mean, and I think.
But also when Kong attacks, he's got Battle Fury, and then he also has Giant Reach 3, so your opponent shouldn't be adjacent to Kong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So even if they have shape change, it's not going to matter. The only shape change that'll matter is if they're next to Ghost Rider, and then then if they're next to Ghost Rider, then there's nothing you can do about that anyway. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't know. I don't think. To me, I don't like it. I just don't like it being on a team because I don't know. I just don't like it.
I don't know. It's 0 points, man. Well, to be fair, it's misprint it's misprint on the actual equipment, or not the equipment, the terrain. The terrain still it still says 60 points on it, but it's like it's not
60 points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what it says. That's what it says on the thing. Which, according to the rules, it does say. It says like, oh, affect terrain. It may have a point value of 1 or more, but the card does not have a point value. So it's like, it's because of a misprint, because the Superman that comes with it is 60 points, and so
Yep,
they
and
And
just
isn't
like
the
that.
rule it goes by the dial, right?
No, it goes by the card.
yeah, it's on.
I thought it goes by dial.
It always goes by the card.
Okay.
It depends on. There is no set rule of like what it goes by, but when you like, because for example, you look at
Well, I was gonna say Maverick. If
things like
it went by the dial, why would you can't have more than one Daredevil?
right,
But
like I
it's
said,
leg. Yeah, I could see that one. Yeah.
there's not a set rule of like card or dial. It's almost like case by case basis, because this is the one example. You look at examples of plenty of other game game things that the card and the like Major Logan, right? I think on his dial or on his card, one of them says 50 points, but his low value is 45. So, whatever that one was, correct. Same is true for but Batwalker has values that are wrong. Again, I don't know. It's on one of them. It's on the card or the dial. One of them's wrong. I mean, even look like what's it called? What just came out? Bigfoot. Bigfoot came out. His first three clicks have invincible, but on the card he has nothing. There's nothing printed on the card that he has invincible. So you would say, well, obviously he's supposed to have invincible, right? But then you look at Vox Ignis, and he has invincible on his card, but on his dial he doesn't. And you would say, okay, well, obviously he's supposed to have invincible. So in one case the dial is right, in the other case the card is right. So it's the intent that's really what's correct, and it's clear the intent is not to make a 60-point piece of blocking terrain.
It's been misprinted to be 6, and they accidentally added a 0.
No, it's not supposed to be.
Hey, man.
60 points. 60. If it's 60 points, that's you lose the game. Like for 60 points, your opponent just.
Oh no, I
scores.
was saying like they misprinted it to be 6, and they accidentally added a 0.
No, it's because Superman was 60, and they just printed it on both dials. They just, they made the mistake, or the printers made the mistake, or whatever, or somebody didn't translate whatever they were supposed to say.
What is it? 4 translations to get back to us, or some shit?
Yeah, I don't know. They got to translate it into what language do they speak in Cambodia or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like some.
Well, it gets translated to that, then it gets translated back to English. So it's like it goes through like another translation, I believe. Again, if something's messed up, it like big mess up, then it gets translated back, and then it's stupid.
Well, because it was clear that when they designed the dials, they just have a snapshot picture of the top of the dial, and what they did is they had Superman. They made Superman first, and then they made the telephone booth. So they copied and pasted Superman over to the telephone booth. So then they just changed the name from Superman to phone booth. They changed his team abilities.
The dial?
They changed his team abilities to the effect terrain. They, because the Iconics set symbol is there. It's in the same place. They changed the set number, and then but instead of the combat, values and all that stuff. They just have the values for the terrain. Then they just didn't. They forgot to delete the 60 points. So
I didn't know what that was, like an entire dial.
no, I mean it's just a equipment thing. It's just a little. It's a terrain marker thing, but it's.
Is it a marker or is it like an actual like the phone booth? Like, is it like a 3D object? I should ask.
Yeah, it's actually it's the coolest object in the game in my opinion.
It's 3D. I didn't know it was 3D, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought it was the 2D.
Yeah, let me take some quick pictures and I'll send it in the chat here.
Yeah, I did not know that. Now I might have to just pick it up because it's that cool. I mean,
yeah, on each
I
side.
mean, realistically, you should have picked it up anyway.
yeah, I probably should. I mean, it is something that
yeah,
is easy to get
on each side of the phone booth is like a picture of Superman and I'll show you when I here. It's like each one he's like changing his clothes. So like at the first one where he's just standing there like, oh, I'm normal. Let's see. And then you got the second one. He starts to take his jacket off.
Sending pictures.
And you got the third one where I think he's like taking his pants off or something. And then you got.
Doesn't he usually like rip his shirt before he gets in the phone booth?
I don't know. Well, it's there,
I mean, it's worth it. I mean, for how much was it? Like $30, right?
I think it's $20.
Oh, that's definitely worth it.
I also just I think from a power level standpoint of the Superman, I get like some people are disappointed because it's like Superman as a 60-point character sometimes doesn't seem very reasonable, and I agree. I think they could have easily made his dial longer and then gave him a kind of like I'll call it like a Mr. Oz dial where it's like, oh, you can play him at a low point, but then he just dies, earlier, instead of getting to the end of his dial.
Doesn't he have like a mediocre dial though?
I think for an Iconics figure, I think it's right on the money. It's
like compared to
like Kong, dude. Like think about Kong, $30.
Yeah, well, Kong was insane.
Yeah, but he was like that's what I mean. Like Kong's nuts. This guy is definitely not Kong level.
No, yeah, but he's 19. It's a 19 defend piece, so you know what I mean. Like 19 defend pieces are always kind of in that conversation of like, oh, one day maybe, so
one day maybe, yeah.
And he's got the past keyword, so that means he themes with everything from Masters of Time.
Except for one of the shifting focus Batmans.
Yeah, right, because that's the one you're going to start with on the map. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to start with the future one, the super... Yeah, it was funny because I accidentally, when I was building a team, I accidentally pressed past keyword, and I thought I was looking at the entire Masters of Time set. And then...
Oh, but it was just people with past keyword?
Exactly, because it's like, it almost looks like the entire set, yeah. But then I look closely, I'm like, wait, where's, where I think it was like a prime that I was looking for. I was looking for Blue Beetle, and I was like, oh wait, I pressed pass. Like the one out of like 100 pieces, man.
The picture I sent looks blurry.
Yeah, there's really not that many, that don't have past. It's actually pretty funny.
I don't know. Well, like I said, I like that Superman. 19 defend is always good, and it's 19 defend with a stop click. He's got 19 on his first and second click, so it's not. Like I said, it's not super insane because it's like 60 points, but definitely got his uses. Especially when you can just park him either right next to or pick up the phone booth and.
It's not a Venom Iconics though. It's definitely worth the money. I think for $20.
I
Plus,
think
I
the
got the Superman section
worst part
out
about
back
that
here.
Superman is they printed his keywords like so small, like the text for the keywords on his card is just it's.
What
I
is
mean,
it? Up and away.
it's probably like 2 or 4-point font. I don't know. It's so tiny, just insanely small. You can barely read it.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, this is what it is.
The only one you need to read is past, right?
Yeah. It's Justice League and Pass, and then everything else like oh that don't matter, you know.
Even Justice League, I don't think is it ain't what it used to be.
I mean, it's fine. We got plenty of Justice League stuff. And then Death Metal Wonder Woman says Justice League is Amazon, so you know there's plenty of stuff to keep with
You
you.
got the generations, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with bikes, yep.
Yep, women on bikes.
Give the super senses.
Oh Jesus.
All right. Well, before we too much dead air, I'm just gonna end the recording and throw this up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.